would you go if you run with the wind? And the chances you take are what give you wings, and you can fly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lou Bayer, and it's my pleasure again today in our ongoing series with the Civility Center to speak with Kent Roberts, co-founder of the Civility Center. And if you want to learn more about the Civility Center, you can visit civilitycenter.org. So today we're going to ask Kent to describe for us the difference between bridging and building, which are two terms that we use frequently in the civility world. What do you think, Kent?
Well, it's a good question. And they can be a little bit interchangeable, but I do believe there is a difference. And building to me really has to do with just finding ways of getting better. And it's really tied to learning. You learn for the change. You find ways to increase your skill sets and your process of what it is that you're trying to do. You define and you get better at whatever task that you're trying, that's your goal. So building is extremely important. If you don't build, if you don't build the platform, you're not going to be able to actually connect and bridge all the ideas and thoughts. So I think that you cannot talk about building without talking about learning. And I always love Peter Senge's quote about the idea that why don't we learn for a change? Learn for a change. And so we've got to find ways in which we learn for a change. And we build around the concept of new learning, collective learning, ideas that spring from that, the ideas that allow us to get better. And when we are strong enough and we've built a platform and a space that we have built together, then we can start bridging some of the thoughts and ideas and the learning together, which naturally brings me into the building. Of course, our second book at the Civility Center was Community Weaving. The idea of taking all these thoughts and ideas and the learnings and the skills that we've learned in becoming a better person, becoming a better organization, then we can start bridging and weaving them together. So the book Community Weaving came to be. So the idea of how we integrate all that thought and the process and the intentionality of making sure that we just don't learn on an island. We don't become better in just one space. We connect the dots. The quality of the learning is in direct correlation to the connectivity of the bridging. So you know, and I said a lot right there, and we could probably, Lou, we could probably do days and days just on that one sentence, on the quality of the learning and the ability of what we have learned is in direct correlation to then, if we want the desired outcomes, to the connectivity that's involved of the bridging. So you learn to build, and you build through the civil discourse and through all the skills that go with that. And then you connect them through bridging. Does that make sense, Lou?
That sure does. And so can you give us an example of when we might use bridging strategies versus building strategies?
Well, again, it's a master. You've got to be, you can't put the cart before the horse. You can't try to connect people who are not on, who have not developed the same skill level of in the building. And I'm being real wordy here, but let's just say that we have someone who has really worked hard in learning and building skills that make them more effective people and effective organizations. And then if you try to build that person or that organization with a group or a person that's just getting started, and then nothing of value happens, you can't blame the process, because what you're doing is you almost have to revert your learning back down to the skill level of the lowest person or the lowest organization where they're at. So you would not try to bridge platforms together that aren't of equal strength or have some level of success or understanding as you would move forward. And I think I'm really being wordy here, so I'm not sure I'm answering the question properly. But let's say that we do have folks who have done the work and they're down the road a little bit when it comes to building skills and interpersonal and organizational skills of building platforms within their organizations or with themselves that they can really enter into constructive and productive dialogue and get good outcomes. Well, now it comes they want to expand, and they want to go with either other individuals or other organizations or other different entities within, say you're the private sector and you want to engage with the public sector or the nonprofit sector or with another organization. When you do that, you can do that if they're down the road a little bit. And then you really multiply out all the possibilities of positive outcomes. The more that you can integrate what you have learned and the skill sets you've learned with others within your community, within your organization, as a person within your family, the higher the level of outcomes that you're going to get. In fact, that if you have two organizations that are on a scale of 1 to 10 or at a 5, you bring them together, it's possible the outcome is going to end up being a 7 or 8 or a 9 because you've blended those together. But if you're at a 1, it's pretty hard to really have an upgrade in the outcomes, but you can work at it and you'll get there.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Kent. And for our listeners, if you are engaging in this topic, please do watch the other clips, short interviews with Kent. One is about civil dialogue. You can just check the titles of the clips. And one that's coming up very shortly here is about how communities can incorporate bridging, some specific strategies. That's our next clip. So thank you for listening, and thank you, Kent. We'll talk again soon.
Reason why each of us comes to this earth, and your actions will always speak louder than words, and you'll never know what you're capable of until you try.